Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Haslett Special Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Today's date is Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. The time is 6:30 p.m. This meeting is being held in person and also via video conference, where we do have participants joining us this evening, as well as one of our commission members, Chuck Tackett, has joined via video conference. In the room, we do have a quorum present. Moving on to agenda item 3, items of community interest. Haslett has a new radio station, AM 1650. There is live streaming taking place there at the website https bit.ly/AM1650 Haslett. And that is a place where you can get information about public safety and other community interest announcements. And there is continuing opportunities for employment in the city of Haslett. There's a Parks and Grounds crew leader position open, a grounds maintenance worker, a staff accountant, and a water maintenance 1 and a water maintenance 2 position. So if you have an interest in those, seek the application at the city offices. Moving on, agenda item 4, public hearings and action items. Agenda item 4A, discuss, consider, and act on the Laterra South preliminary plat. We'll begin with our staff presentation.
Chairman Kadish and members of the commission, this is a plat that is a preliminary plat that's in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, located west of the BNSF Railroad and north of the Blue Mound Road, extended to the west. And it contains approximately 96 acres, a little bit over, and they're proposing 247 lots, residential of about approximately 5,000 square feet. We have some concerns about sewer service, water service, drainage on the site, and we're going to turn this presentation over to our city engineer to address some of those issues.
Good evening, folks. Mike Anderson, Belchef and Associates. Before you there at your seat and previously provided to you in your packet, you should have a review comment letter dated December 30th from our office. And what we've attempted to do is summarize some of the deficiencies that we've had given our cursory review of the submitted preliminary plat we have before you. As Mr. Schwenke stated, we've got a development that's being proposed on approximately 96 acres that's proposing 247 single-family residential units. The first portion of our comment review letter on the page there is the actual comments based on the preliminary plat. So when a preliminary plat comes in, that's a record of the easements, rights of ways, setbacks, and property boundaries that would be recorded at the courthouse. And in order to establish those lines, preliminary engineering has to be submitted in conjunction with the plat, such that we can ascertain whether or not this project is developable based on the configuration summarized on the plat. So item number 1 on our comment review is that the preliminary plat does not show adjacent subdivisions that are currently being proposed, either in conceptual form, in preliminary, or final plat form. So to the west of this development is a piece of property that's in Fort Worth. It's called the Laprelle subdivision. I don't know the exact term for it, but they have an approved preliminary plat on file with the city of Fort Worth. Components of that include discharge from their on-site drainage and detention facilities, as well as connections to John Day Road. And so without the applicant showing that adjacent subdivision, it's pretty difficult for us to ascertain how the roadway connectivities, intersections, roundabouts, drainage, big thing. The site generally drains west to east. There's existing culverts underneath John Day Road. Those will have to be lowered in order to provide for the on-site detention for the project in Fort Worth. And without knowing how that flow is going to be routed through this project, it's pretty difficult to say that the current configuration is going to be workable. So the remaining items 2, 3, and 4 are just some minor deficiencies on the plat itself. Missing a dimension line here. Need to label the street names, label and identify any open spaces or parks, etc. So relatively minor comments associated with the plat. You turn to page 2 of our review letter. Again, comment 5, the plat doesn't specifically identify land uses. It's assumed based on what the applicants provided in the application that there is no other use other than single-family residential. However, the requirement of the city subdivision ordinance is that you list on the face of the plat intended uses. Item 6, topographic information 200 feet beyond the face of the plat, that's not provided. They did not list the preparation date, again, not a big deal, but again, a deficiency based on the city's ordinance. Item 8, they did not include the standard notes that are required. As we get into the next section of our review, that's the preliminary engineering construction plan comment. So, big one is the number 1, we've got a lack of information and data regarding the adequacy of on and off-site drainage facilities to serve the development. As I stated, and you go to in your large copies there in front of you, if you go to the applicant's drainage plan, it's labeled PDP 1.2 in the lower right, and I'll kind of hold it up for reference. It's the overall drainage plan for the project. I'll give everybody a second to kind of get there. PDP 1.2. So again, the site drains the Laprelle project to the west. Excuse me. It also picks up drainage from the North Glen subdivision, which is located southeast of this project. There's quite a bit of water that comes down through there, and all that water is proposed by the applicant to go through a channel system that's going to be developed and then discharged to an off-site culvert, which they've labeled existing culvert. However, there's no information as to the size or capacity of that culvert. It's pretty important that we understand the capacity of that, the impacts of their discharge relative to the known floodplain through there, and whether or not this lot layout, roadway layout will work given the flows. The applicant did not provide a pre-development condition map at which we can ascertain what their measurable increases in runoff will be post-construction. So they do have you can see their layout there, but what they're really needing is a drawing that shows how much water is coming off that ground right now. Where you see the houses, that ground's currently plowed. It's plowed yearly. It's a plowed field. The rest of it's left open for drainage. And so we need to get information from them so we can determine what their increase in runoff is, so we can determine whether they need to provide on-site detention or whether we need to get their flows into the floodplain and what effect that has on downstream, whether that's downstream properties or downstream facilities, such as that culvert that goes under the railroad track. So that really is item 1A and 1B, right? We don't need detailed construction drawings, but we need enough information to know that what they're proposing is going to work. Is that channel wide enough? Are the velocities slow enough so we don't create erosion issues? Are we protecting the downstream water quality, and are we not increasing the water surface elevation down or upstream? So in a nutshell, that's one. So there's insufficient information in this application to ascertain whether the preliminary drainage will work. Item 2, Mr. Schwenke alluded to the sewer issue. The applicant's proposing, if you go to I guess it's the last sheet of the plan set here, PUP 1.0, that's their utility plan. They're proposing to connect to an existing 10-inch sewer line that is currently installed underneath the railroad in a 20-inch casing. That 10-inch sewer line does not have capacity given the flows that are currently coming to it from the Laterra subdivision to the north and the elementary school up there. There's also anticipated flows for the middle school that's currently under construction, so that line will need to be replaced. It also appears, based on limited information and time that we've had to review this, that the existing 15-inch line that receives flow from that 10-inch line may have insufficient capacity to provide service to this development. So sewer is definitely something that's going to need to be worked out, and there's insufficient information in the applicant's package here for us to say this project can move forward as presented. Let's see here. That's item 2. Item 3 is the on-site water facilities. If you go back to the utility plan that the applicant provided, they're showing an off-site extension of water by others. It's unclear who the others are based on the information provided in the package. There's a 12-inch line that currently ends approximately 800 feet east of the project, generally at the Birchwood Street entrance into Ashmore Farms. Without that loop and without that connection to the proposed 12-inch line that the applicant's showing in John Day Road, there will be insufficient fire flow and max day demand capabilities for this subdivision. So you can kind of see we've got that lower portion of the line identified as who's proposing to install this off-site connection to their project. You might say, well, what about they just serve it coming from the north? Well, the city's going to be doing some improvements that are being currently designed right now, and so we will no longer have a feed from the south. So it's imperative that we figure out a way to get them looped in, so that when our pump station goes down, we've got an alternate feed for this project. And that's a master plan line for the system as well. So insufficient water and insufficient information contained in their package for us to ascertain whether they have adequate supply for their project. So that covers drainage, water, and sewer. The next item is item 4. They provided a traffic impact analysis that recommended improvements both to John Day Road in form of turn lanes, as well as to Blue Mound Road in the form of turn lanes, and they actually recommend the installation of a signal at John Day Road and Blue Mound Road. Their actual preliminary plat does not show any of those improvements. They did not include preliminary plans for John Day Road or Blue Mound Road. The ordinance states that they're responsible for providing a minimum half of those ultimate developed sections, since neither one of those streets currently meets city standards. They also did not include the layout of the 2 roundabouts on John Day Road that are contained in the master plan for the city, master thoroughfare plan. So given the deficiencies that we've laid out in the letter, we're recommending that the preliminary plat be disapproved due to the insufficient information contained in their submittal, including everything but not limited to the items specifically discussed this evening. And it should be noted that upon receipt of additional information by the applicant to our office, that additional comments may be generated for the applicant for resolution. So that's my 12-minute spiel. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer those and see if we can help you guys sort it out.
Great, thank you very much. Is the applicant present this evening, and do you wish to add any additional information?
I'm here. My name's Jeremy Nelson. I'm the engineer of record on the project. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Apologize for that. Yeah, my name's Jeremy Nelson. I'm the engineer on the Ladera South plat application being considered tonight. And we became aware of this special call meeting at the last minute and did not receive the customary advance notice of the city comments. And as a result, we're not prepared to respond to the comments at this time, but we will make a formal submittal to address those comments and look forward to working with the city engineer to resolve those.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for the city staff or the applicant?
I'd like to make a recommendation to deny the preliminary plat due to insignificant information contained in the applicant's submittal, including but not necessarily limited to the specific preliminary plat and engineering deficiencies noted in Blanchett and Associates letter dated December 30th, 2022. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it says insignificant. Correct. Oh, yeah. Yes, I make a motion to deny the preliminary plat due to insufficient information contained in the applications submitted, including but not necessarily limited to the specific preliminary plat and engineering deficiencies as stated in Blanchett and Associates letter dated December 30th, 20.
Yes, we want to use the word disapproved instead of denied.
Yes, I would like to amend my motion to say disapproved instead of denied.
Motion been second, all in favor? And the motion passes 4-0. Mr. Tackett voted online and was visible during the voting session. Okay. Moving on,
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Mr. Hilborn?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, agenda item 5, anything that we need to be aware of this evening, Mr. Spanky, for future agenda items?
We will have some items that'll be coming up on your next agenda. We think we're going to have a ordinance change that'll be on there.
Okay. All right, and moving on, agenda item 6. We're adjourned. The time is 6:46 p.m.
Good night. Thank you.
This conference is no longer being recorded.